Easter is coming up, and the best thing to buy in the shops here in the UK are hot cross buns. So today I wanted to share with you my inspired cookies based on those delicious bakes. Okay, today I'm going to be making them with my hand whisk rather than my stand mixer. You can make it in a stand mixer or you can do it completely by hand, but I'm going to be using my hand mixer instead today. So to start with, we're going to put our butter and our sugar in our bowl together and cream them. So this is 115 grams of butter, unsalted at room temperature as always. And to that, I'm going to add my sugar. Now this is soft brown sugar, 150 grams. You can use a mix of other sugars too, but I always put some brown sugar in just because I find it changes the texture of the cookie. So that's 150 grams of soft brown sugar in with my butter. Let's just get this last bit of butter off there. So all we're doing now is just mixing it up to combine. Like I said, you can absolutely do this by hand. You just need to squish it in. It just takes a bit more effort to mix it all up, but absolutely you can. Just make sure your butter's soft enough or you have to work extra hard. That's our butter and sugar all combined. I always mix it for an extra 30 seconds or so longer just to make sure that all the bits of butter have really broken down. There we go. Okay, so that's that done. Next we're going to add 1 egg in. So I'm just going to crack it straight in. And then we'll mix that through. If your mixture looks a little bit like it's curdled, don't worry, just keep mixing it and it'll eventually come together. That's what you're looking for your mixture to look like. So that's all I need these for. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to sieve in my dry ingredients. Get it all off. There we go. Ingredients to sieve. We have plain flour. This is 180 grams of plain flour. And to that, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, half a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of cinnamon. This is one of the most beautiful flavors of hot cross buns. And these smell amazing once you've made them. You'll want to eat the cookie dough on its own. And of course, my cookies' secret ingredient always, 2 teaspoons of corn flour. Corn flour for me, once I discovered using corn flour in my cookies, it just made my cookies so chewy and beautiful that I've never made cookies without them since. So definitely use your corn flour. We'll sieve all that in, and then I'm going to add in the zest of 1 whole orange. Now we're not going to put any juice of the orange or anything in, we're just using the zest. Normally I would grate the zest directly into the bowl, but for the purposes of showing you for speed, I've grated it already separately and I will pop it in a minute. But I would always suggest grating it in directly, just because as you're grating you'll get a little bit of the oil of the orange, which is absolutely beautiful for the flavour. So make sure you grate your orange directly into it. So if you see in my bowl here, you'll see the remnants of the oil left. Sadly for me, that's going to stay there and not get in my cookies. So make sure you grate directly into your cookies. It makes such a difference. Right, and now all that's left is to mix these up together. The reason I came up with these cookies was I really wanted hot cross buns, but I find sometimes that bread can be very filling, very bloating for me. So I wanted something that was a bit lighter, still sugary, still sweet, satisfied my sweet tooth, but still gave me the flavours of hot cross buns and reminded me of it. Oh, that smells so good already. And I wanted something quicker. As much as I love making bread and buns and things like that, I also find that it can take quite a while with kneading and leaving it to rise and all of that. And I got impatient waiting. So I wanted something that I could make quick and easily, that would taste delicious and satisfy that need for a hot cross bun. And that's why my cookies were born. There you go, bit of history for you. So you can absolutely mix this in with your hand mixer. I just prefer mixing by hand at this stage because I feel it gives me a bit more control of making sure that everything's mixed up really thoroughly. But if you watch my chocolate chip cookie recipe, my giant American style chocolate chip cookies, which are amazing, you will actually see that I use a stand mixer for the whole thing. So absolutely, this can be done in a variety of different ways. I just wanted to show you that there's a different way of doing it if you wanted to. Right, so that's my cookie mix done. So to that, I'm going to add some sultanas. This is 100 grams of sultanas. Traditionally, you would actually use raisins in a hot cross bun, but I actually prefer the flavour that sultanas bring rather than raisins. So pop those in, and because I love chocolate, some white chocolate. So again, it's 100 grams of white chocolate chips. And then all I'm going to do is mix those two up. Make sure it's completely, thoroughly mixed all the way through. Oh, this smells so good, you guys. I'm getting the whiff of the orange, which is amazing. And obviously the cookie and just, oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. So like with my other cookie recipe, depending on how you want your cookies to be in terms of texture, you can cook them for longer or less time. And also depends on the size of your cookies. So with my last recipe, I actually made the cookies pretty big. So they took a little bit longer in the oven, and I had to put my oven on a bit slower so they didn't burn. If you make these into smaller cookies, you have to watch them and they'll need less time. For my cookies, I make them about that kind of size. And I use 2 spoons and just push it off. Now that's not a perfect ball, but what I will do now is I will pop them in the fridge, and once they have set in an hour or so, I'll then use my hands and roll them up so they're nice and smooth, and then flatten them a little. So it still gives you the ball of cookie dough. But this way means I don't have to get my hands dirty. So once these are done, I will pop them all in the fridge. In an hour's time, I'll roll them out, flatten them out, put them in the oven. So I will preheat my oven to 150 degrees and cook them. These size cookies will take me about 12 minutes to cook. So it's anything between 10 and 15 minutes. It depends on your oven, depends on the size of your cookies. This mix should make about a dozen cookies for you, but keep an eye on them from about 10 minutes, I would say. And I will see you on the other side with freshly baked cookies. My cookies are now out of the oven. They smell absolutely gorgeous. The whole house smells of hot cross buns. They are amazing. So the final touch on a hot cross bun is obviously the cross on the top. All I'm going to use is some melted white chocolate and a little paper cone that I've made myself to just draw the crosses on my cookies. Now you have to make sure these cookies are cooled completely, or the chocolate will keep melting, keep drizzling, and it might be a big mess. So I've got some cooled cookies here that I'm just going to show you how I do my little cross. So all this is a few squares of white chocolate that I've just melted down in my microwave. I'm just going to pop a little bit into my cone, and I'm literally going to draw a cross on. It's really simple. And then you can see it's starting to come out the bottom there. All I'm going to do, now I've cut my hole quite small. You can obviously make it bigger if you want. I am just going to, and to the side. And the nice thing for me about hot cross buns is, about the actual buns, is that the cross isn't always perfect. And that's kind of why I like these as well. And that's it. It's as simple as that. Your cookies are ready to be enjoyed. Yeah, there you go. So happy Easter and happy baking.